Hello, this is Piedra Luna. Today, July the 8th, is actually the International Tarot Day. So for today, I wanted to show off my nicest, cutest, sweetest, and most refreshing tarot deck that I have, the one that I waited the most for. It's in a way simplified, simple lines, simple colors. It looks like it has been painted like with pastel highlighters, the ones like you use in school. But I love the motif and the theme of obviously of the unicorns that you're seeing right in front of you. And it's called the Crystal Unicorn Tarot, of course, by Pamela Chen, illustrated by Lisa Higuchi. It's so lovely. You can actually get it in Etsy. I'll put the link below, and also I'll show you. I made another video showing all the cards if you want to check it out in case you want to buy it. It's so lovely. It's so pretty, and it's based on the Rider-Waite system or style, if you may, or philosophy of tarot. And if you haven't seen my other videos, the Rider-Waite Smith tarot, I'm going to do here an introduction of tarot, a quick one before I go into the energies for this week for the collective, because I think it's very deserving, being the day of tarot, the International Day for Tarot. The cards are, there's many different styles, but this one is really popular. It's very popular because it's very accessible. It's easier to they're easier to read. You have pictures on all the 78 cards, and before the other decks, before the Rider-Waite, of course. Tarot is not only Rider-Waite. We have Rider-Waite. We have the Marseilles, which is the one that looks very similar to the poker playing cards, plus the extras that, well, the major arcana, the Hangman, the Tower, the Lovers. I'm sure everybody's seen those cards before. And then there's the Tarocchi, which is Italian. It's very similar. It has a different art design, but none of them had paintings or descriptions of what they meant on all the 78 cards until we get the Rider-Waite cards, which is the ones that we're looking at here. Now, this is, of course, not the original artwork made by Pamela Coleman Smith, who was a clairvoyant, and she was an artist, and she also she worked in theater, and she used to do the costumes for the theater. So making a scene taking you to, well, that's what people do in theater, right? I mean, you arrange the scene so that people feel like they're in the place where the story has to be, and the clothing and the costumes tell you who is this person, if this person has money, they don't have money, or they're the queen, the clown, whatever. Of course, your costume tells a lot about the character, so there's a lot of that. Well, here, not there's no costumes, of course, because these are unicorns, but in the original of Pamela Cole Smith, she puts a lot of detail on regards to that, to showing you like a door into the energy of each card. And what is the energy of each card? Basically, what it represents is 78 cards. They represent different positions of the of in astrology, or, well, in the heavens, right? Not only astrology, but like the zodiac sign. They're based on the movement of the stars and the planets. The same signs their astronomers will look at. I mean, where the position is, of course, and where it diverges from in astrology is that astrology has this philosophy, or this theory, that regarding, depending on the position of the planets and the combination of the positions of the planets, we're going to feel different energies, and that they're going to be collective. And it doesn't mean that everybody's going to feel them the same way, but it could mean that a lot of people could be feeling them. And that's why we're able to make collective readings, because we're reading from that. And what we pick up from the cards is basically like they, in a way, that this is where it gets mystical and weird, that actually, depending on which season you are, usually you would get the cards from that season when you do a reading. And when I do a reading and I get the cards, what I get what I use my system is not, I don't pick up the cards, and my cards are always pristine. I don't like to riffle, shuffle them. If you see them here, I have them. I had these. Look at the back. The back of them are beautiful. Usually, I don't care much about the backs because most of the people that do tarot decks, they don't mind much the backs, and they don't put. I don't feel they don't put that much effort. But in this one, is so beautiful. It's so nice. This deck is so lovely, and it's based on the same positioning that Pamela Coleman Smith made of the other cards. If you check out my other tarot decks, but instead of having people, she puts the unicorns. But they're showing exactly the same action. Like here, the Five of Wands is, of course, competition, too many cooks in the kitchen, too many egos in one place. And this, if you know you already your 78 cards, the devil, which is about vices, the things that chain us, that keep us from being free, which can be our low self-esteem even, or toxic situations that we might link ourselves to. So this is the same depiction of the meanings and the energies of each planet, but they just change the character, or and of course the artwork and the style, and that's what you see on my different tarot decks. Basically, we are going through the same things, but the different interpretations from different artists, and they have different energy. I love this ones because of the colors. They're so refreshing, and of course I love me my bubblegum colorful tarot decks, and this one has such a nice and sweet vibe, that is just, it's just a delight to look at. Even I think for all ages, except of course maybe it wouldn't be a deck that a very manly man would like, right? This is more like in the girly side, but I love it. It's so beautiful. It has a really nice cardstock, and the Rider-Waite Smith style of deck is so nice and so popular that there's so many versions of it. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 500 different styles, and every day there's another artist bringing more new decks with different ideas, but still based on this, because this is very popular and it's very easy to read, and it really links up to the zodiac sign, and it lets you feel like how the energy is going. And of course, whenever we're dwelling in tarot cards, it's very important to know that the three things that were on top of the Oracle of Delphi. Of Delphi was in Greece, and it was a place where people will visit the oracle, which was a woman that would stand on a three-legged stool that was placed right on a crack, like from a volcano, and the gases of the volcano kind of gave her visions. It wasn't always the same woman. They would change the women that would do that, but it was always women, because they would get kind of intoxicated from the fumes. But from the peasant to the king, they came to see the Oracle of Delphi, and right there, which was also had a link with Apollo being the sun or Jupiter, and it was a place that would visited by the peasants to the kings. They all wanted together to get a glimpse of or an advice about their future. But there was an important like PSA on the top of the Oracle of Delphi that said, "Know thyself." It is very important to know yourself and your weak spots and your strong spots, especially and to go and get introspective about why you're asking whatever you're asking about. And it also said nothing to excess. That's a great rule in life, right? Not even good things in excess are bad, right? And the last one was, I forget like the exact words, but it was like absolute certainty brings absolute ruin. So of course, take any reading from anybody, no matter how good they are, no matter how well they predicted, gave you a prediction before, or if anybody recommended them. Of course, whatever the cards tell you should be a like a clue, like a tip, or something to look into and really evaluate to see if it applies to your life. And well, and also the great highlight of tarot cards is that they make you become self-conscious and to evaluate if the whatever the cards are telling you have a relation with your life, and if the recommendations they're giving you and the advice is good for you. And that in itself, it's a great exercise, right, in life, just to take some time to meditate and think about our lives and our decisions and why we're nervous about whatever we're asking about, or why we're curious. It's always good to know from where the place that you're coming from whenever you're getting a reading. So after that 10-minute introduction about the cards, well, I actually have a bit more to say. They're called the Rider-Waite-Smith for the following. There's also some weird ones, which I find very complex, and they didn't become very popular because they were a bit weird, which were the Atiel and the Oswald Wirth, which were more based on alchemy. But they're not as aesthetic and beautiful and attractive as the Rider-Waite-Smith. Rider is from the print that in 1909 said is okay. Give me those cards. I'm gonna print them, because at the time, even though it was very popular esoteric stuff during the beginning of the 1900s, there was still, of course, a lot of conservative groups that didn't like it. So Rider said, that's fine. Rider becomes the printer that becomes later U.S. Games. And he was the person that decided to make this tarot was Alfred Waite. And he used to collect all the information from the mysticism of all religions, all, absolutely anything that he could get his hands on from. And he was part of a lot of secret societies, and of course there's a lot of things to be said about secret societies, but the interesting thing is that they had been taking care of ancient mysticism and knowledge. And Alfred Waite decides that he wants to make it after reading philosophical writings from Eliphas Levi, who had also collected a lot of information from all the mysticisms he could find, like Vedic, Hinduism, Hebrew, Christian mysticism, Egyptian mysticism, Sumerian mysticism, basically all the mysticisms around the world were got to his hands, and he wanted to put it all into one package. And Eliphas Levi was a person that he was very interesting. He was a preacher, like an ordained preacher in the Catholic Church, and then he got interested in secret societies, and he got interested in mysticism. But he always had that in mind of being in a good path, like whatever you do comes back to you. So he was very mindful about having moral and a moral bone and an ethic bone whenever approaching anything that was of mysticism, that you should approach it as a way to develop your spiritual road, or to enhance your life, but never in an egotistical way, and never in a way to cause harm to anybody or to yourself even. And so he was also kind of like a socialist. He actually was Eliphas Levi was jail. He got in jail because he believed that human beings should be free. He believed in freedom. You know, like the utopic socialism, not what it becomes afterwards, right? And in that kind of mentality that knowledge should be and everything should be shared, and we should live like in a big community of social justice, which was more of his notion about what everybody wanted for socialism to be in a utopic way, of course, which we know it didn't happen that way. Although we can see democratic socialism in a lot of Scandinavian countries, and it's really working out for them. But I'm deviating, of course, from the subject. But Eliphas Levi was concerned that if all the secret societies were ever to disappear, then all this knowledge would disappear, and that books were very easy to burn, and that it was difficult to keep track of a library that was growing so big. So he had this idea that doing a tarot deck that had like all the different symbolism of all the different mysticism would be a way for people to access secrets of the universe, if you may say, things about your life. The most important thing is that it should be approached in a way of having a good intention, although they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but you should have a true heart that what you're trying to investigate on or what you're trying to research on, that you do it in a humble way, in a way that just to give you another perspective in life. Don't take it absolutely too serious, but also kind of take it in a spiritual manner or in a meditative manner of meditating and going, having and being getting insightful. If what the cards are telling you, or more like a comparison between how you were looking at the situation and how you look at the situation after the recommendation that you get from the cards. And of course, that process should be internal. There's no reader that can tell you how to do your life or what are the best decisions you can take, but what they can give you is a different perspective, and you are the one that has to measure if it really applies. That's part of knowing thyself. That's part of nothing to excess, and absolute certainty brings absolute ruin. Okay, so after that explanation of there's so much, there's key on the topic, right, of that today is the International Day for Tarot, and that, what was I gonna say? Sorry, a bit scattered. That there's a page in Facebook. It's called Tarot Nerds that I've been part of for several years, and I love it. There's like 40,000 people that are in it. People that are beginners, people that are advanced. They're always showing new decks, and there's so many collectors in there. I mean, most of us collect. There's people that have. I actually have 38, soon 39 probably, but I'm picky with my tarot decks. I only like, basically, I already know that I resonate more, and I'm not saying like this is the best and whatever the other readers are doing is wrong. No, I'm just telling you my way. I love the Rider Waite, and I love different versions, but they have to feel very magical to me. They have to feel nice vibe, high vibe, and or at least that's what resonates with me. And this is one of my favorites. And there's so many out there, and they're based on the Rider Waite again, most of them, because and there's of course the Thoth, which I forget about it because I don't like it much, or at all. um, it's darker. It feels darker. Even if you don't know where it comes from and the whole story about it, it feels darker. I I don't like it. But then there's people who love it, and they have a great vibe, and I'm not throwing any judgment on that. But the Rider Waite, you can go on Amazon and you can find endless amounts of different arts and styles and topics, from cats to sweet witches like Hogwarts witches and brooms, to mermaids, to dragons, to fairies, to manga tarot, to watercolor. I mean, the options are limitless, and they're so beautiful and nice. And there's no way I can explain why I love tarot. I just know I do, and I know I loved it since the first moment I ever lay my eyes on a tarot deck, when I was 16, and it came in a magazine, 17, and it was only the majors. And of course, I didn't get any of it. It was too complicated to read, and the imagery wasn't Rider Waite, and I just didn't get it. But I remember telling myself, I kept the cards, I still have them, and I'm 38 now, and I remember telling myself when I was 16 that I was going to learn to read them. And the first time I started reading them, um, it just felt natural. I don't think this is the first life I've read tarot, and I like it as a meditation. I see it as a sacred and spiritual tool of meditation. And there's many different um, religions. The Hebrew religion has the Kabbalah, which as well is a system that is linked to planetary positions and the influences that we get, because we know the ancients knew that there's an influence from the planets. We have the influence, which is scientifically proven, of the moon, not of the other planets yet, but that just means that we haven't created a machine that can measure the influence of the other planets on our daily lives and our minds and our brains. And it's not like we're robots or anything. It's just that we feel the influence of things that are happening. there's tendencies, I guess, when people are happier, when people are stressed. And of course, now during the pandemic, we're more stressed than ever. But, anyways, now after the 20 minutes of telling you why I love the tarot cards and why I feel they're spiritual to me, and that I started, actually, I learned to read tarot cards because I had a friend that read them for me for free. And I wanted more frequent readings that I wanted to bother her for. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to learn and I'm going to read them for myself. So I do. I read them for myself. And again, always with a grain of salt, always any advice you get from the cards. And of course, if you ever go to a reader and they tell you about something you should be watchful about, or if they say anything in the neighborhood of negative, make sure you ask them, okay, give me what are the recommendations from the cards of how to get through this situation. Because, of course, life is going to give us difficult situations. But the most important thing when you leave from a tarot reading is not feeling all anxious about, oh, what the hell is going to happen? Oh, I can't believe it. And it might not even happen, and you got all anxious, and your panty's going to twist for something that maybe didn't even happen. And so it's very important whenever you get a reading that you get a recommendation of what should you be doing, what is the recommendation from the cards. And that's usually where the cards are great. That's where they are the strongest in the recommendations. And sometimes if the universe allows, then you are able to know about things that are going to happen in the future, if as long as that doesn't interfere with the evolution of your spiritual evolution and the bigger plan that you have in this lifetime, because we all have different lessons to go through. Of course, I've said several times, I do believe in reincarnation. Okay, so maybe I should make it into 2 videos. This is going to be the celebration of the International Tarot Day. I guess nobody gets as excited as a person that collects tarot cards for the for the International Day for Tarot, or Tarot International Day. But that is the best explanation of tarot cards that I can give, and the best celebration I can give, and the shout out that they're weird. They're weird, but they're good. I mean, they're a link between the heavens and the earth. And what's most important is that whatever, however way you're approaching it, that you approach it with in the good path, in a good light, with a kind and true heart, with truth and mercy. So that would be my celebration of the cards for today. And the next video I'm going to just do the collective reading because this got a bit kind of long. Okay. Blessings. Bye.